Shut up, compressor. So what the fuck is a pick dick? Well, as you can probably guess, it's a play on dick pic, which is something that I really hope doesn't take place too frequently in the modeling community. But basically it's something if you post on forums, on Facebook, on Instagram, Twitter, well I guess not Instagram because you can't put photos and comments, but pretty much anywhere that people can share images as comments to post, you see them pop up. Basically, if you post a picture of the thing you're working on or the thing you just finished, just got through weathering, here it is, it's coming along, cool, here's what I'm planning to do next, and somebody posts, here's mine, and slaps their own model in the comments. Yeah, it's one of those things that, you see it once, you're like, okay, that's kind of lame, or whatever, but when you admin a group, when you run a page with, 18,000 something like that followers now, when you've been around forums for a while, it just gets really old. It is inconsiderate, unless it is, in context of like, I'm having real problems with this kit, how did somebody get this thing to work? That's when it's contextual and it makes sense, because you are providing value to the conversation, as opposed to basically just jumping on somebody else's content and somebody else's creation to try to get some like points yourself. And so it's something I would encourage everybody to maybe think twice about when you see somebody post something and you happen to have the same thing, and maybe it's really shitty, maybe it's fine, maybe it's great, whatever. It's cool to say, that's looking good, I built one myself and you're knocking it out of the park, or I built one myself and you might want to watch out for this, or things like that. Like, contribute to the conversation, don't just spam with your own fucking photos. If you want to show off your thing again, create your own damn post. So it's something I've been encountering a lot this week, and I don't know if maybe the season's finally starting to change, or maybe it's just trending among the internet thought police, maybe Russia's putting it out, fuck if I know. Is this idea that you have to enjoy every moment of the hobby. You're not allowed to have annoyances, you're not allowed to find parts of builds tedious or awful, or the thing that you just grit your teeth and force your way through to get to the stuff that you care more about. I saw it literally just today on a thread about RFM Firefly tracks, and having built some of those tracks myself, they're not my favorite. I mean, I think they're fine. I don't like having to close two pad halves, because then when you go up around the the curves around the sprocket and the idler, you can see the seam in there between the track pads, and it looks shitty. And it's just not how I would have engineered those parts. But somebody jumped in there and was like, if you don't like building tracks, why are you building tanks? Maybe because they like the rest of it. Maybe the tracks are a necessary evil of something they really enjoy. I also ran into this pretty much, like a belly flop in my pet peeve post about the Edward Mustang's horizontal stabilizers, which in 2020, you would think stabilizers are a thing that, molding technology has figured out, and you can put them in and they pretty much stay where they need to be, maybe a little tiny bit of shimmy just to, make sure that they will actually go in and give the modeler a little bit of room to sort of adjust as necessary. But you put the Edward ones in and they just go like that, like gaps open up and everything. Granted, you can push them in, and when you glue them, I'm sure they're great, like they fit well when you're holding them in place, but come on, it's 2020. Hasegawa figured this shit out like 30 years ago. I can pick up a Ki-84 or something like that and just stick the stabilizers in. They lock together. Everything's great. The Ming P51 knocks it out of the park too. Why can't Edward? And it's one of those things that, to me, there's nothing difficult about it. It's just an annoyance. It's a pet peeve. It's something that irritates me. But there were all kinds of, oh, you better find a new hobby then, or, shit among those lines. And no. There's no way, shape, or form that says that a hobby has to be something that you only enjoy. I mean, I'm thinking about any of the other hobbies that I have that have parts that suck. Mountain biking. I like mountain biking. I enjoy it. I really like going downhill. I'm not a big fan of long, gradual uphills. They just kind of suck. But it's part of it, because if you want to go downhill, you got to go uphill, right? Stepping away from hobbies, work. I find work rather rewarding for the most part. Parts of it still annoy the fuck out of me. Before the Corona apocalypse, I didn't like the commute. I love driving. Driving's great when the roads aren't packed with cars going really slow and driving like they have sponges attached to their accelerators. So, does that mean, well, if I don't like the commute, then what am I doing driving? Gotta get from point A to point B and during that time of day, and that's just the shit you gotta deal with. To me, it's the same thing with the stabilizers. It's the same thing with the RFM tracks. It's honestly the same thing for me with any tracks for any tank. I can do them. I force my way through metal tracks, force my way through plastic tracks, whatever. They're not why I build tanks. I don't build tanks to build the tracks. The tracks are something that I have to do to build tanks. Why the fuck is this so difficult to understand? I mean, literally, any human endeavor that is rewarding in any way, shape, or form has elements that people don't like. Do you have kids? Are you married? Have you gone to college? Literally any of these things have moments that suck. We have a 7-year-old right now that randomly is scared to go to the bathroom by himself. Just came out of nowhere. And it sucks. And it's not saying that I want to trade in my 7-year-old. I would jump in front of gunfire for him, but having to escort him to the bathroom at random times throughout the day, annoying as shit. So yeah, it's, where did the hobby all of a sudden have to become a thing that you enjoy all the time, where you enjoy every single aspect of it? And if you don't, you should go out and find a new hobby. What the fuck? That is, man, I honestly can't even imagine being in a position of just straight up enjoying something entirely with no downsides. To me, that seems very flat, and honestly, I think it's one of those things that it takes the peaks out of it. It sands them flat, so it's just kind of like this comatose state, practically, of medium happiness, as opposed to you go through the lows to get to the highs, or makes you really appreciate when you get to the weathering stage that you're not fighting a stupid stabilizer arrangement, or that you're not dealing with assembling tracks. I don't know. I don't know what people think sometimes. Yeah, that one kind of baffles me, and that's why I'm sitting here ranting about it. Figure painters. Just figure painters in general. I don't get how the fuck you do it. I've been trying to figure this out. I've been trying to learn kind of on the side, and I've clearly got a long way to go. It feels like my brain just hasn't found that little through line that makes it all sort of fall into place yet. So it's all very forced. And then I see somebody come in and do a limited palette test to build their skills, where they're doing object source lighting and shit like that in 3 hours. And I'm like, in 3 hours, I've painted and erased shit 10 times and just kind of gone inside out of frustration. Damn, it is definitely even though there are skills that transfer across modeling and figure painting, it is its own thing, very much. And my kudos to those who have it figured out, because Jesus, doing all that and dealing with the fickle bullshitness of acrylics at the same time. I'm hoping to get there, but it's a slog. So, something invariably happens to me when I get on the downslope of a build. Basically, my brain wakes up. Not in the sense of how am I going to glue this shit to this shit, or what's the order I want to do these in, or how am I going to approach this weathering challenge to get this effect. No, none of that. My brain's already been chewing through that. It basically looks up and starts looking around and is like, this one is on its way to the finish line. What are we going to build next? And it's a motherfucker. Holy shit. It goes off in weird tangents. And so something that I thought I wanted to build, all of a sudden I don't, but then there's this like random thing out of left field. It's like, what if you built this instead? And so, I've been thinking while I was hoping to basically parallel path the Tamiya P38 alongside the Intruder, and obviously that hasn't happened. So maybe I want to do that next. But then, out of left field, I see that Trumpeter is finally releasing their 132nd F100F, and that gets me looking at all the various reference pics I have of the Dustbuster, and maybe I want to do an F100 for some reason. And I hesitate to act on any of that. I don't actually have an F100 in the stash at all. So that would be buying the F100 and the intake correction and whatever other shit there is for it. And if I do that, I just know that when I actually get to the end of the Intruder in, 2 weeks or so, that interest in the F100 will just be gone, just out the door, and I'll be I'll be building like an A26 or something. But it's really insidious and really annoying when it pops up at this phase, because I still have long enough to go to where I know somewhere in the back of my mind that I'm going to change my mind by the time I get done and get ready to start on the next kit. So acting on it right now is pointless, maybe even futile or counterproductive. But my brain's like, come on, I've got ideas, I want to do shit. Look at this thing, look at this thing, look at this thing. What if we did this? That'd be awesome. Buy all the aftermarket for it. And then don't touch it for 6 years. Man, it's the worst. And so I'm trying to get around this time by literally just like writing out all the things I'm considering. Maybe if I get it out of my brain onto paper, that will let it rest. Probably not, but it's worth a shot, right?